For years, we've been told a fairy tale. If war breaks out, gold will soar. Wherever a bullet is fired in the world, wherever there is tension between countries, they said the first thing to take off, the first thing to fly would be gold, and that this would save your portfolio. But on that dark night in 2026, with the operation that America and Israel launched against Iran, a great chaos actually began in the Middle East. And this chaos completely shattered the fairy tale that gold rises when war breaks out, my friends. While missiles filled the sky and the Strait of Hormuz was closed, cutting off the flow of oil like a knife, gold, cryptocurrencies and stock markets all crashed at the same time, and everyone was asking, what happened to gold as a safe haven? They were saying. Friends, one of the biggest paradoxes in the financial world is happening right now. War has broken out and gold is falling. Actually, this is such a cliche piece of information. Now everyone can access this information. And in a world where everyone knows everything, where everyone knows that if this happens, that will fall and this will rise, maybe not knowing or not thinking like everyone else would actually make you money. This period reminded us of that a little. Today, we won't just be answering the question of why gold fell. We'll talk about how the Fed has turned expectations upside down, how oil has become a weapon of inflation, and where smart money, savvy investors, are moving their money and what they're investing in right now. Let's get into our video. Now, I'm going to explain why gold made such a move in 4 points. Let me explain the first point. Buy the rumor, sell the fact. We use this phrase, we use it a lot in crypto. Buy on expectation, sell on the news. Now, friends, you can see the gold chart in front of me. Actually, the tension between the US and Iran started with the assassination of Qasem Soleimani, and smart money had already been accumulating gold for months, maybe even a year. And at the end of January, gold hit a record high at $5,589, then made a sharp dip, and the talk of war began. Even though it tried to make a new peak, it then dropped all the way down to around $4,000. I'm talking about a loss of more than 20%. Gold behaved like an altcoin. And friends, it showed the worst weekly performance of the last 43 years. This was a very critical drop, a very sharp decline. So while missiles are flying through the air, are people going to shop with paper money? Why is gold falling? Now we come to the second part, the oil shock. So what makes this war different from the others? For example, suppose a war breaks out between Pakistan and India. This is not something that directly affects the world's oil supply. But 20% of the world's oil passes through the Strait of Hormuz. Or the UAE, Saudi Arabia and Qatar produce many petroleum-derived products or some precious metals. Now the entire Middle East has been plunged into chaos. Many production facilities have stopped. So in fact, this is an oil war, and in a way an energy war. As you can see, Brent crude oil is right in front of me. With the start of the war, the price of a barrel of oil quickly rose above $100. It even reached as high as $135. And here, we encountered something like this. Oil started to move in an inverse correlation with Bitcoin. In fact, it also started to move in an inverse correlation with gold. So as you can see from the chart in front of me, when oil goes up, gold goes down, oil goes up, Bitcoin goes down. An inverse effect has started now because oil means inflation. Think of it this way. The price of oil has increased. Now, even when we eat corn or bread, oil is needed for wheat production. And the farmer will have to put fuel, diesel into their tractors. That's one. The price of this has increased. The fuel cost for the truck that carries it from the field to the market has also gone up. Transportation costs have increased. Therefore, there is inflation that directly reaches the markets and our tables. So, how do you fight inflation? You can now see this both in the global context and in Turkey's current struggle. How do you fight inflation? And here the Fed comes into play. They say we can fight inflation with interest rates. And this year there were supposed to be 2 interest rate cuts, right? That's what we were waiting for. We were imagining an enthusiastic year in crypto. Anyway, you know who I want to complain about, who I want to rant at, but we can't say anything. We were expecting an enthusiastic year, we had dreams in crypto. But unfortunately, those dreams have been completely shattered because forget about 2 interest rate cuts. Now there's no chance of a rate cut at all this year. In fact, there's even a possibility that the US Federal Reserve might raise interest rates. This has also reduced the risk appetite for risky assets. And yes, we understand the crash in cryptocurrencies. As for gold, here's what comes into play, friends. There's a battle between the dollar and gold. During times of war, the dollar says, I am the global reserve currency. Gold says, no, I am the global reserve currency. All right, that's true. Both are highly preferred currencies, or let's say assets. But here the dollar, what did I just say? The Fed is going to raise interest rates. When the Fed raises interest rates, investors say gold doesn't yield interest, but the dollar does. So if I convert my gold to dollars right now, I both earn interest and the dollar remains strong. So maybe today I have 100 units of gold. Next year it could become 110 units of gold if I stay in dollars. This again increases the value of gold, friends. By the way, friends, we can also carry out our gold, silver, or crypto transactions on Binance. I do it through Binance. You can also join Binance by registering with the QR code you see on the screen or via the link in the video description right now. You can also benefit from a 20% commission discount and a $600 welcome bonus, friends. Register using the link, complete the identity verification, and join the world of investing. Now we've come to what I think is the most important part, liquidity crunch. In times of panic, people need cash. So, there is chaos in the world, there is a war, but you have positions. Maybe you took out a loan, or companies have positions. In a panic, everyone says, sell everything. And the order of selling usually goes like this. You sell your most liquid asset first. So when you enter a crisis, you might not be able to sell your car quickly, you might not be able to sell your house quickly, but you can sell your stocks quickly, you can sell your gold quickly. We call these assets that can be sold quickly liquid assets. The order of selling these liquid assets works like this. You sell the most profitable one first. So if you're already at a loss in the stock market, if you're already at a loss in crypto, what is the most profitable thing you have? It's gold, it's silver, because they've already increased a lot. Now, there are also margin calls happening. So when risk appetite in the market decreases or the risk environment increases, margin calls come in and collateral ratios are changed. This means you need to add more collateral, otherwise your position will be completely wiped out. At that point, you say, my most profitable position is gold. You think, let me sell my gold, let me increase my collateral. Or a company says, my most profitable position right now is gold. They think, let me cash in my gold and go pay off my loan. Or governments, for example, say their facilities have been hit and they're experiencing production problems. They say, the most profitable part for me right now is gold. In that case, I need to sell gold to keep things running. I need to get through this year. That's why, while gold was so inflated, yes, gold was the most profitable position, and companies, governments, and individuals cashed in their gold to meet their urgent needs, their panic needs during this chaotic wartime period, using gold. I think this is one of the biggest reasons for the drop in gold. So yes, I mentioned 4 reasons, but there are 2 major ones. One is meeting the need for liquidity, and the other is that the Fed is going to raise interest rates and people are taking positions in favor of a strong dollar. Now finally, we'll look at Bitcoin and silver. We say that Bitcoin sometimes behaves like digital gold. In my last video, it actually tried to show very strong resistance and was rising nicely in this area, but then suddenly experienced a collapse. There was almost a gap and it dropped very sharply. Now, the situation with oil is so uncertain that due to the possibility of things happening in the world that have never happened before, risk appetite has hit rock bottom. And yes, let's say the Iran issue in the Middle East is resolved. What about Cuba? What about Greenland? Trump's discussing an African country. What's next? Global uncertainty is rising. When it prevails, no one wants to act. Will this continue like this? I don't know, because Trump can change his mind very quickly. With midterms this November, we might hear, I ended many global wars. He said this before he came. He might suddenly try to end all the wars. And yes, maybe then risk appetites could recover, but right now we're in a very risky zone. Silver, in the same way, friends, has experienced a drop worse than an altcoin. Look, the chart doesn't even fit on the screen. It dropped 50% from the $120 level to $60. For those who bought at $120, not to lose money, it needs to double. So can we say this then? I've said this in all my videos this year. 2026 is not a year where we need to put in a lot of effort to make money. 2026 is not a year where we need to chase after money. It's not a year where we need to increase our risk appetite. So what do we need to do in 2026? In 2026, you need to protect your money. You need to protect your assets. Don't grow, but don't shrink either. What's the first goal? Don't shrink, don't lose money. We will protect our money because the world has seen much worse wars before. Don't think this is the end of the world. No, the world has survived wars. It has survived 2 major world wars. Or it has survived very serious pandemics. Or it has survived huge earthquakes, massive outbreaks. Bad times come and go in the world. Economies collapse and then rise again. So if we protect our assets now, we can make a real difference in the next economic upswing. I hope my video was clear. More videos are coming, more energetic videos are on the way, but I also need your support with likes. I need your support with comments. I hope the video was clear. Hope to see you in another video, friends. Goodbye.